Hello, my dear students. Welcome to a new episode of Science. Today, we will continue to the summary of our unit number 2, concept 2.1, the plant needs. As you know that all living things have basic needs that they must meet in order to survive, like food and water, for example. Also, the plants, which are living things, they need air, water, and sunlight to live. The plants, they have ways to capture and move the water they need in order to survive. But how are plants classified? The plants can be classified or divided into different groups according to how they can transport water and nutrients into vascular plants and non-vascular plants. The word vascular came from the word vessels. Do you remember the xylem and the phloem vessels in the stem? Yes. So the plants with or the plants that belong to the vascular group, this means they have transport vessels. The plants that in the group non-vascular plants, they do not have these transport vessels. Also, the plants can be classified according to whether they can make seeds or not into seed plants. So these plants, yes, they can make seeds. And the seedless plants, these plants seedless means they are without seeds. Okay, here are the plants classified or divided into vascular plants that have transport vessels or vascular system and the non-vascular plants. The vascular plants, they are divided more into seed plants and seedless plants. Then the seed plants, they are divided into gymnosperms and angiosperms. Okay, what about the non-vascular plants? Actually, non-vascular plants, they are small and they survive without a transport system. This is why they are called non-vascular plants. Like these plants here in the picture, these are mosses. Parts of mosses are very close to the ground and it absorbs the water directly. What about vascular plants? Vascular plants means, yes, they have vascular system, xylem and the phloem. Vascular plants do not have these size limitations, yet they can grow taller and bigger. A vascular system is a series of hollow tubes. Hollow means empty from inside that can transport the water and the minerals to the top. Can you imagine? This is a man, a grown-up man, and these are the huge trees. So due to the presence of the vascular system, the water comes all the way from the roots up to the top of these plants. Then let's talk about the different parts of the plant. The first important part of the plant, this is the root. Roots are deep in the ground, but not all of them. Let's see. A root is the part of the plant that absorbs water and the nutrients, stores food, and anchors the plant. Anchors the plant means it fixes or hold the plant to the soil. This is very important. So the root had three main functions, which are it absorbs water and minerals, stores the food, and anchors the plant. Actually, there is a special structure in the root called root hair. Look at it. This is the root hairs. These are root hairs. What about it? A root hair is a thread-like projection from a plant root. So it comes out from the plant root. This is great. The epidermis of a root has root hairs that absorbs water. So these root hairs, they help in absorbing water. They come out of the plant root from a special type of cells called the epidermis. Okay, what else? There are three main types of roots, which are number one, aerial roots. From their name, they are related to the air. The second type is fibrous roots. And the third, they are tap roots, aerial roots, fibrous roots, and tap roots. What about the aerial roots? As you can see here in this picture, this is an orchid plant that is growing on the stem or the trunk of another tree. Actually, the aerial roots, these are roots that never touch the ground. They absorb water from rain and air. Aerial roots are roots that never touch the ground. They absorb water from rain and air. The second type of roots is called fibrous roots. These roots are thin, branching roots, as you can see. Fibrous roots do not grow deep into the ground, but they cover a very wide area. The third type of root is taproot. Yes, this is a carrot. Yes, it's a root. Plants with taproots have a single main stalk-like root. Can you see this root? It's look like a single main stalk with other small branches or hairs coming out of it that can grow deep into the ground. Then what about the stem? The plant stem has two functions. It is a support structure and serves as a transport system for the plant. It's a support structure because it holds the branches, the leaves, the flowers, and also the fruits. And it serves as a transport system because of the xylem and the phloem tissues. Stems come in two basic forms, which are soft stems and woody stems. The soft stems, they are not as strong as the woody stems, yes, for sure. Woody stems are often covered with bark, which is the tough outer covering that serve as a protective layer for the tree. The water and the nutrients move up and down the plant through the stem, through tubes called vessels. Smaller vessels connect the stem to the leaves. Actually, we have two types of transport vessels. The first one is called xylem. Xylem is a series of tubes that work only with water and minerals and in one direction, which is up the stem. The second transport vessels, this is phloem. Phloem, it moves the sugars that are made by the plant leaves and to the other parts of the plant, up and down in all directions. This is a transverse section in the woody stem and the soft stem. Okay, so here look at this picture. We have here the water and minerals in the red line. It moves up only in one direction, which is up the stem. This is through the xylem tissue. Can you see the arrows? Yes, they point up. What about the photosynthesis products, the sugars? Look at the blue arrows, they move up and down in all directions through another transport vessels, which is phloem. Can you see the arrows? They move up and down, up and down. Then this is for the stem. There are two types of stems as we studied, the woody stems and soft stems or non-woody stems, like in herbs, the small plants, but for shrubs, the small trees and the larger trees, this is a woody stem. Then we move to the leaves. This is a very important part. As you can see, the leaf is covered by an outer covering waxy cuticle, then the epidermis. Let's see. Leaves can be in many shapes and sizes, yes, for sure. The outermost layer of a leaf is called epidermis. This is the outermost layer of a leaf. The epidermis on the lower surface of a leaf contains tiny pores. They are called the stomata. Look at this picture right here. Can you see these openings? They are called the stomata. Great. The one pore is called the stoma. The air that the plant needs, do you remember? It's carbon dioxide that the plant needs. It moves directly into the leaves through the stomata. The leaves contain a green pigment named chlorophyll. This chlorophyll helps the leaf to collect the sunlight needed for photosynthesis. So how do materials move through a plant? The roots absorb water and minerals from the soil, pushing them upward into the stem. Great. The water travels into the leaves, then out of the plant. This happens also through the stomata. The leaves make food through the process called photosynthesis. Then food is transported from the leaves to the roots and the other parts of the plant through the stem. This is through phloem tissue or phloem vessels. Then what? Let's talk about photosynthesis. Many plants have leaves with broad, flat surfaces. Why? In order to get the sunlight it needs. Plants use sunlight to make their own food in a process called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis occurs within the leaves of the plant. In addition to sunlight, the plant also uses water and minerals absorbed through the roots and the carbon dioxide taken in by the stomata. Photosynthesis occurs in structures or organelles inside the plant leaf itself called chloroplasts, which are found mainly in the plant cells. The chloroplasts use carbon dioxide, water, and the sun energy to produce food in the form of glucose. Oxygen, it's produced as a waste product from this process, the photosynthesis, and it is released into the atmosphere by the plant. This is what we breathe, what we need in order to live and survive. Most of the glucose is transported through the vessels to the stems and roots. Remember these vessels, for sugar or glucose, it is phloem. This is very important. Okay, this is an equation about photosynthesis. It says the water, carbon dioxide, and the sunlight, then by the process of photosynthesis, it gives glucose and oxygen. During this process, light energy from sunlight is transformed into chemical energy that is found in the glucose. This is very important part. Then what about the energy pyramids? An energy pyramid, it's a diagram that looks like a pyramid. Yes, for sure. Then what? It shows the amount of energy available at each level of an ecosystem, at each level in our environment. Energy pyramids illustrate that it takes a huge number of organisms to support an ecosystem. The bottom of the pyramid, usually it represents the producers. These are the ones that use energy from sunlight, like plants, to make photosynthesis, to start making food. The bottom is the largest level, like any pyramid, like any triangle. The bottom is the largest level because it contains the most organisms and therefore the most energy. There are fewer numbers of organisms and less available energy at each level of the pyramid. As you go from the bottom to the top, fewer number of organisms and fewer energy. In any ecosystem, the number of producers, the one that can produce their own food, is greater than the number of the herbivores that eat the producers. Similarly, there are many more herbivores than the carnivores that eat them. In a forest, for example, there are more grasses than rabbits, and there are many more rabbits than the snakes that eat the rabbits, and there are many more snakes than the hawks that eat the snakes, which are the top carnivores. For example, look here, these are the producers at the base of the pyramid, and this is the largest number of individuals. Then the primary consumers like rabbits that eat the producers, and secondary consumers like the snakes that eat the rabbits, and the tertiary consumers like this hawk or eagle that eat the snakes. So each level contains lesser number of individuals than the previous one, and the energy is lost from level to other till it get to the top carnivore. I hope you understood this part, and see you in the next episode. Thank you guys, and goodbye.